There's actually a really cool study. So I'll tell you about this study.
Please.
This study actually is really greatly explains how manifestation works, at least in my eyes. So there's a study done in the 1970s where they took kittens and they raised one group of kittens. They raised them all in complete darkness. They took one group of kittens and they showed them only horizontal lines, horizontal black and white lines. So they're raised mostly in complete darkness, except for a few hours a day where they're shown only horizontal black and white lines. And then a different group was shown only vertical black and white lines. They allowed their brains to develop through, their adolescence. And then when their brains were more developed, their visual systems were developed, they put them in a normal environment with chairs and tables and all the things. And what they found was that the kittens that were raised to only see horizontal lines, they couldn't see vertical objects. They would bump into table legs and chair legs because their brains weren't programmed or wired to see them. The brain develops in a way that helps us survive in our environment that we grew up in. And so the kittens that could only see the vertical lines as they were raised, they would weave in and out of table legs and chair legs and all of that, but they wouldn't jump up onto tabletops or, chairs to perch the way that the kittens that were raised to see horizontal lines would. And so I think that, that study kind of really showed me that if the way that kittens were raised kind of determined what they could then see or perceive in their reality, like what am I missing in my life because of the way that my brain is wired and the way that I was programmed by my environment. And I think that's where sort of certain activities like shadow work kind of come in, but recognizing that you really can only see in your reality what your brain is wired for. And so that job, that relationship, that thing that you're trying to manifest or create into your life, it might be right in front of you, but you're missing it because your brain is not programmed to see it or construct it, right? And it's super cool because there was someone who came to my masterclass. I host free masterclasses, and he said he had been searching for a job for 2 years, and 2 weeks after the masterclass, he got his dream job. And to me, it's a really cool example, but also when you wire your brain to become a match. And so that's what it's all about. It's sort of that like neuroscience meets law of attraction sort of situation where when you wire your brain to become a match so that it can actually construct the experience that you're wanting to experience, that's when you can see it. And that's why I say you need to act like it or you need to be it before you can see it. It's because the brain has to be a match for it in order to even construct whatever it is. Like you can be in the best relationship ever, but make it toxic or, you won't be perceiving it as that if your brain isn't wired to be in a healthy relationship. And so I think it really is about rewiring your brain so that you can perceive the things that you want. And so for me, that's what manifestation is all about. For me, manifestations, and it is, I guess, it is a mental game. It is about rewiring your brain so that you can become a match to whatever it is that you want. But then of course, that requires action. Mm-hmm. Rewiring your brain, yes, it can be done through visualization and all of that. But a lot of the circuitry, like habit formation and all that, a lot of it comes from action and from doing. And so I do think that, of course, it requires action, but taking aligned action. And I think that it's important to recognize that when you have action, but your brain isn't programmed to see it, then you'll be taking action for a long time. You might achieve it, you might not. But when you're, of course, only doing the brain component or the energetic component of it, the mental component, you might become this great thing, but it's going to take action for you to go. And I think that when you have both your brain is programmed for whatever it is that you want and you're taking action toward what you want, then that's when you become completely unstoppable.
Yeah, it's so interesting to hear about the exposure of the kittens.
Yeah.
What they had, the vertical and horizontal lines. I remember I was coaching someone a few years back and they told me that the richest person they knew made $100,000 a year. And so then I introduced them to someone who made $100,000 a month. And they were like, oh my God, I didn't know you could make $100,000 a month. Then I introduced them to someone who made $100,000 a day. And then they're like, oh, wait a minute, I didn't know you could make $100,000 a day. And then I introduced them to someone who makes $100,000 an hour. And it was just incredible to watch their mind expand because it was just a glitch almost in their belief system of what was possible. And that wasn't about that person wanting to become really rich or wealthy. It was just about the idea of, can you expand the mind out enough to be exposed to something that it hasn't seen before and heard before? And all of a sudden, the person's being able to wire differently and being able to conceptualize dreams and businesses and ideas that they never have because they just weren't aware. And I always think about that, like what's the prison that we've created for ourselves?
Yeah.
No matter how big your world is or how small your world is, it just ends up being that size. And it's hard to do that if you haven't left your town or met someone outside of your landscape or met someone in a different career path. I mean, I talk about it all the time. Growing up, I didn't know anyone who looked like me, who worked in media or was on television or worked in any sort of way. I just didn't see anyone. And if you haven't seen it, it's so hard to experience it or dream to become it because you just think people like you don't do that.
Right, exactly. And that's why I'm really big on normalizing your dreams to yourself. Because yeah, exactly. If your brain hasn't been exposed to it, it's going to be really hard to honestly even set the goal for yourself to be it or have it.
Yeah.
And, you know, I've definitely had people like my business partner and fiance, he definitely showed me a lot on the business side of things that I had never experienced before. And I was like, whoa, there's a whole different world out there that I didn't even know existed. But then also kind of more in the content creation space and like meeting people I'm big into moving. And I love that you said that if you haven't been outside of your hometown, because for me, moving is just an incredible way to level up your life. And I love to talk about the brain also being an association machine. So the brain loves to make connections and associations between things. And when you move into a new environment, the brain has no prior associations to anything. It's like, it's a clean slate. And so it's really easy to establish a new identity or sort of new beliefs or a new mindset in a new environment because your brain has no prior associations to kind of hold you back in that past version of yourself. And so it's really easy to start anew. But yeah, and I love going and putting myself in environments where I'm being around people or places or things that are expanding my mind. It's an incredible way to level up in your life and in your mindset and in your ability to even set goals for yourself. Because I think for a long time for me, I didn't even know what I wanted to do or be or have. I didn't know any of it. And so I think exposing myself to that. And like when I moved across the country to Miami, I didn't know a single person there, but being around certain people, I knew I was like, you know, this person, not necessarily do they resonate with me, but I know that they were brought into my reality to show me what's possible. And it really did expand my mind. So I'm grateful for that.
Yeah. How do we manifest based on neuroscience? How would neuroscience suggest we do that?
Yeah. So I have a 3-step process. I love them.
I love them too. I know you do. I know you have a 3-step process.
I love me some steps and making it simple. That goes back to my scientist days. So when it comes to manifesting, it really is the same thing for anything that you want. So the first step is to identify the feelings. Identify the feelings that you believe the thing that you want is going to bring you. I always say you don't want the thing that you want the feeling that you believe the thing that you want is going to bring you. So for example, if you are wanting a relationship, then the feeling you might be after is to be loved and feel safe and supported. If you're wanting a whole bunch of money, it might be freedom. It might be security, again, safety and security and freedom, whatever it is, right? So those are a few examples, but whatever it is that you want, write down whatever it is that you want, and then write down the feelings that you believe those things that you want are going to bring you. It's super important to identify the feelings. And I get a lot of questions from people like, what if I don't know what I want? If you don't know what you want, that's fine. You can still write down the feelings that you want. Because I think a lot of times maybe we don't know. And I think a lot of times also we think we know what we want, but we don't really know what we want. But it really is the feeling that we're after. And so identify the feelings. That's the first step. Identify the feelings and write them down. And then from there, make 2 lists. The first list is a list of reasons why you already have to feel that way. And so, for example, for me, I actually held a manifestation workshop in my community, and I was I always use personal examples. So mine was 1 million followers on Instagram, and I didn't have it at the time. And live on that call, I realized, oh, what I'm really after is feeling official and accomplished. Like I want to feel official and accomplished. That's really what I want. And so then I identified those feelings, right? And so then the next step is to write a list of reasons I already have to feel that way. I think a lot of times, again, our brain isn't even letting us acknowledge that we actually can already feel that way in the present. And I was like, I already have this business. I'm coaching people. I'm changing lives. I have a giant following on social media, even if it's not 1 million. I have a lot of reasons to feel official and accomplished already. And writing a list of all those reasons down. And I have people in my community that they print out their resume and put it in their bathroom mirror, like all of the things that they've done, right, to make them feel that way. But write down a list of the reasons why you already have to feel that way.
That's brilliant. I love that.
And then the second list is a list of things, right? So sometimes people will be like, well, I don't have any reason to feel that way. Which to that I would argue, try harder. But there is another list, and the list is a list of things that you can give yourself that you are in control over to feel that way. So if I'm trying to feel official and accomplished, what can I do today to make myself feel more accomplished? Well, for me, I always feel accomplished after I complete a workout. I always feel like I know that I'm writing a book. I can go write a few pages of my book. That will help me feel accomplished. And so again, what will help me feel official? I mean, the definition, what does official mean to me? I guess for me, it's just like, oh, I made it. And I guess that for that, I could go and maybe read comments of people like saying like, oh, you really helped me or whatever it is. So what are some activities that you can do to give yourself that feeling? And I think combining the two is important, right? Because again, acknowledging all the reasons why you already have to feel that way, but then also becoming more aware of things that you can do in the moment to make yourself feel that way. And when you start doing that, and after like 2 months after doing that practice on myself, I hit 1 million followers on Instagram. And I do believe and know that it shifted my energy, right? Like I'm creating now from a different space of feeling more official and accomplished. And so I think that kind of process of identifying the feelings, recognizing all the reasons you already have to feel that way, and then becoming aware of things that you can do to help yourself feel that way even more. When you start doing that, now you have the feelings that you want already. And now you're in a place where you can also be detached from the outcome. It's not going to stop you. You should still go and work toward the thing that you're wanting, right? But that's how you rewire your brain. So that's sort of the neuroscience component. Of course, we could go way deeper into this and talk about this for hours. But this is sort of like my short, condensed 3-step neuroscience component to becoming a match to whatever it is that you want. And now when you're going and working toward the journey, when I was going and working toward 1 million followers, now I'm working toward it with a different